I had to take a pregnancy test when I was living in a house full of other women that I actually wasn't super familiar with, and also didn't have that kind of comfort level. And then I got a result that I didn't want, and I had no idea what to do about it. I actually ran out of the house and 2 blocks down the street, threw it in some random person's trash bin.
Oh my God.
It was not a moment that I wanted to I just didn't want anyone else to be around.
Yeah.
And that's a very common experience.
Welcome to Season 2 of Behind the Business. I'm your host, Fahim Savja. Every episode, we go beyond the business plans and discover the real life and untold stories of today's entrepreneurs. It's time for the people behind the business. Let's get into it. Hey there, just a quick note before we dive in. Alongside Behind the Business, I run a small consulting practice called Savja Advisory. We work with fintechs, founders, and financial institutions. Whether it's product strategy, partnerships, or business transitions, we're in the business of helping small businesses and those who serve them succeed. If that's you, check us out at savjaholdings.com/advisory. All right, back to your episode. Guys, thank you so much for coming on Behind the Business. It's a pleasure to have you. And okay, I'm going to start things off by saying congrats. Awesome job with Tree Frog Accelerator. Congrats on winning their pitch competition. But before we get into any and all of that, tell us a bit about Petal.
Go for it.
So Petal Pregnancy, born out of Vicki and I's passion for women's health.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of started over a year ago now. Vicki's actually a previous entrepreneur herself. And so I have always had an interest in getting into that and starting my own business. And Vicki and I were kind of at a crossroads where we were like, should we start something now?
Yeah.
I think that's always the question that is in an entrepreneur's mind.
Yeah.
When's the right time? Should we go for it? And I think we finally just kind of said, if not now, then when?
For sure.
And we were actually both very frustrated with the experiences that women have to go through when going through fertility journey.
Sure.
And that's kind of how the conversation started.
Right.
And we mapped out kind of everything that was wrong with it, which there was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to focus on pregnancy tests first. And we were thinking how can we make this experience better?
Yeah.
We've both had experiences that were super unfortunate to deal with. And I think privacy, especially for a moment that's so intimate, was so important to us.
Yeah.
And so we decided to focus on how can we make that better, and we decided to create a flushable pregnancy test.
Amazing.
So that's what we're working on right now, and that's going to be the first thing that we focus on. But we do have other ideas on how we're going to change the diagnostic test industry. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like a big reason why I started this podcast, we were talking about it earlier, is for people to know that people start businesses out of personal experience, out of things that they've gone through, and to try and make things better for others because of their own individual journey, right?
100%.
So tell us a bit more about the product itself, what really inspired you. I know you mentioned personal experiences. Would love to hear more about that if you're comfortable.
Yeah. Well, so actually for me personally, I had to take a pregnancy test when I was living in a house full of other women that I actually wasn't super familiar with, and also didn't have that kind of comfort level. And then I got a result that I didn't want, and I had no idea what to do about it. I actually ran out of the house and 2 blocks down the street, threw it in some random person's trash bin.
Oh my God.
It was not a moment that I wanted to I just didn't want anyone else to be around.
Yeah.
And that's a very common experience. Understanding or getting results for any health related thing in any other situation, that information is private to you.
Right.
You go to the doctor's office, your blood test results aren't being shared with everyone else.
Yeah.
And so for something again, so intimate that you might want to share that information any which way, you don't really have the choice to, if you can't dispose of the result, or if you can't hide the result, whatever you need to do. So yeah, that's kind of how it started for me.
Yeah, got it. And you've had experiences with entrepreneurship, so you're coming in with a different lens completely on how you can make this work, right?
Yeah, totally. I started a frozen food company with my brother and my brother's fiance, who's also one of my best friends.
Nice.
Right in the middle of COVID. We all kind of moved back. Alexander, my brother, and Lauren were living in California.
Yeah.
I was living in Cleveland for school, so we all moved back to Toronto. Kind of built it out of their apartment. None of us had any experience doing it. It was definitely something that we weren't really sure how it was going to go, and we were able to make it very successful during COVID, grow it to be a 9-figure business, and it's been 4 years. It's self-standing on its own now. Amazing. And it's primarily in the US, but it really opened my eyes to sort of that journey of entrepreneurship to the world of CPG. I mean, that's food and bev, but just the world of CPG in general and retail in general. Something that, I mean, Angie and I are both like shopping addicts at our core. We're both major consumers with, I think most women are. I think consumer spend is primarily with women. And so I think that women are missing from that conversation. And I think that it's primarily a lot of men for the most part that are starting these businesses, when even in food and bev, even in, health and wellness, and not to discredit any men by any means, but they don't necessarily... They're not really the consumer of those products, right? You're starting these products and not really necessarily being the ones that are shopping for it or buying for it. And so I think having women being a part of those conversations, and especially when it came to women's health, this is something that, like Angie said, we're both really passionate about. And I think for me personally, like, women having autonomy over their bodies, especially with what's going on in the US, being able to make their own choices, being able to make their own decisions, doing what they want with that information, how they want, whenever they want, is ultimately their choice. And I think that that's something that at our core we're very passionate about, and whether it's this product or just women in general, like that's we're both very big advocates for it. And so I think that going into this space, coming from mostly dominated area, especially when it comes to food manufacturing, not a lot of women, kind of opened my eyes to both that from an entrepreneurial standpoint, and then also our experience with just women and fertility in general.
For sure. Yeah, that's amazing, because I think the both of you complement each other quite well. But tell me a bit more about how the both of you met and, started the idea for Petal. Tell me a bit about that. You're laughing as if there's a crazy story here. So
no.
Okay.
We'll take you back to like what, grade 3 maybe? Grade 4?
That's grade 4. It was grade 4 actually. Vicki took me around this. It was my first day. Vicki took me around the school. That was her job. She was given the job, but I think she liked it. I think it ended up working out. But yeah, we've been friends for, oh my gosh, a very long time.
20 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
And, like not many people like really can grow together for such a long period of time and actually like still enjoy the people that you turn into. Like Vicki, we've had definitely like ebbs and flows of, time spent together. Like sometimes we'll spend so much time, sometimes like life gets in the way. But especially today, I think it's like no time has ever passed in any of those moments. And we just work so well together. Like, I know what triggers her. She knows what triggers me. I know exactly where she plays really well. And similar for me, like we joke about it all the time. And we can have such honest conversations about who should do what at what point. If I'm feeling like overwhelmed, Vicki will be like, I see that. Let me take it. Right. And vice versa. I think that, and the communication has only gotten better and will only continue to get better.
For sure. I think you need that in any co-founder relationship, right? It's
probably the number one most important thing. I think when Vicki and I started this venture, a lot of the questions, and you'll get comments like either which way, when you say you've gone into business with your best friend. Sure. It's either, oh, that's probably not the best idea. Have you really thought about that? For sure. Or the people who have perspective kind of say, oh, you really understand each other. Yeah. You know what to expect. And I think that that's kind of one of the biggest things. Right. And I think it's actually one of our biggest advantages.
Yeah. I think it's cool to see, because you're probably one of the first ones on the podcast who are like best friends, really, really close, growing up together, right? Yeah. I've interviewed a lot of couples and spouses who are co-founders together, and that's very an interesting dynamic. And it's funny that you said that, you know what each other's ticks are and what works and what doesn't, because exactly what they say too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you are so close in relationship and you are so close in business as well, like you really have to keep that open line of communication.
Yeah. And the other thing I think is we really want the best for each other.
Yeah.
Like it shows up in everything we do.
Yeah.
Like there's never any like sabotaging.
Right.
We honestly, truly try and understand each other's like perspectives on life and how situations affect us.
Right.
And then we really like, she'll never give me bad advice.
Yeah.
And I try not to give her bad advice. But yeah, it's because we understand each other. So yeah.
Vicki, tell me about like the moment you guys realized that you were going to start working on Petal together.
Yeah, so I think we had talked about it for a little while, about going back and forth about starting a venture together. I think that with my other company, like things were good and things were kind of reached a peak. It wasn't, it was really my brother's fiance, Lauren. It was really her sort of baby and
Sure.
sort of her idea, and we all grew it together and we were all in it together, but it was by no means necessarily my passion for the idea. I mean, I love the company. It was my like first baby, I'll say, but I was really, Lauren's sort of idea and everything like that. And so I really wanted to start, I'll say, something that was my own and sort of put my passion into it. And I mean, like Angie talked about with our relationship, like if I'm not going to do it with my brother and my family, I think there's no one else that I'd rather do it with. I certainly am not, I don't want to, I've seen the path of it and I would never want to go down that road alone. And there's no one else in the world that I would rather do it with than Angie, honestly.
Amazing.
I think that we've been friends for so long that there's no fight that's going to happen that we're going to just be like, screw this and walk away from the friendship. Just like with my brother and his fiance, like that's my family. Like there's no fight that we would have where we're going to walk away and be like, hey, well, you're no longer my brother, right? So it's the same thing with Angie, in my opinion, right? Like whether it's my brother, whether like she's practically my sister at this point. So going into business with her and having arguments or fights, there's no situation in which we're going to walk away and it's going to be like we're never going to speak again. So we're going to have to find a way to get through it, because it's been 20 years. It's going to be for life. This is it. We are family. And so I think that knowing who she is, she knowing who I am, also knowing our strengths, like we do really complement each other in different areas of business. And so I think coming together, like it only is going to make both of us stronger.
Right. I think a lot of people who are thinking about entrepreneurship really want to do it, and they just lack the motivation, or they have some fear internally of starting, which is very valid, completely fair, or they don't have the idea, right?
Yeah.
So did you both know that it was going to be this idea?
I'm the type of person who has a million ideas.
Okay.
I'm like, it's so funny. I've met people who they're like, I want to start my own business. I don't have an idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, let me dig into my little notebook.
Let me tell you.
Let me sell you this idea.
Yeah.
So I think I've always, from that perspective, known that. The other thing is I really love the idea of being my own boss and like not having to deal with other authority.
Sure.
Like I'm the maker of my own reality.
Yep.
So in that sense, for me personally, like I've always known that this is going to be like a path that I kind of not fall into, but like actually actively go after.
Right.
So for that, like in terms of the ideas, I think we always knew that there was going to be something that we worked on together. I've had many, and then I think when we both were sitting down, it was like in a Walmart parking lot, I think is when we finally were like, we had just gone down the aisle, and we saw like all the current options, and we were like, this is abysmal.
Yeah, I think it was really the idea for fertility and doing something in that space really did come from Angie. Like she had put some thought into it, as like she has like a notes in her phone of like a bunch of random ideas. And so I think the sort of like, okay, I think I want to do something with women's health, again, just both being a passion of both of ours. And then I was kind of like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Okay, we don't want to do supplements, for example, because we feel like that's a bit of a saturated market right now. We don't want to do this because we feel like there's already companies doing it, right? So we kind of went through a bit of a list of like, okay, we know we want women's health. We know we want to do something in fertility. Okay, what are sort of the key buckets within women's health and fertility? And then it's like, okay, well, does this bucket make sense? Okay, what are the pros? What are the cons, right? And let's go through the list and then be like, okay, well, we've narrowed it down to this. okay, let's go through Walmart or Shoppers Drug Mart and go down the aisle, right?
Yeah.
What are the current offerings look like? If you go online, you look at Target in the US, what are the current offerings look like, right? And kind of find that white space once you kind of have narrowed down maybe overarching industry, and then kind of go from there to be like, okay, I really like this idea. If there's 200 brands in the space, is that the best option? Or can we kind of maybe go, okay, well, there's so many options, but what about this? And then carve your own space for your own spot on the shelf.
So you really thought about it like in a method-based approach, right? Like, here are the things that aren't available in the market or that should be adjusted, and then tackled it. That's and stemmed from personal experience.
Yeah.
Like, that's phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Is that, what was the 0 to 1 moment though? Because I think, you know, the fact that you identified what it was going to be was amazing. But then was it that, okay, you know, you joined an accelerator to help you take it from 0 to 1, or you came up with the process yourself on how you would take the next step? What was that like?
I think once we decided, the first thing we did, and I would recommend this, get on a phone call with anyone who will listen to you. I think we got on 100 phone calls, maybe.
So many phone calls.
With who?
Oh, everybody.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking like, because I think once we decided that this was something that we were going to pursue, and I think any entrepreneur will find this, there's now just a bunch of question marks. And you're like, okay, well, is there going to be product market fit?
Exactly.
What do I do for market research?
Yep.
How do I get involved in these networks that have knowledge for fundraising opportunities, to dilutive or non-dilutive? How do you get that started? What do I do to build a pitch deck? All these things, like all these questions come up.
Yeah.
And truly, like, yes, we could have sat there and read through the internet or asked AI, which actually I highly recommend. That like deep research really helps you
for sure
find your fit in the market. But yeah, asking questions and having conversations with people about what they think you should do actually really helps in many ways. One, it actually helps you realize you shouldn't take everyone's advice.
Right. Yeah.
I think Vicki and I very quickly realized, we were like, okay, people have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Some of it we'll take and some of it we'll leave. And we just kind of had to like learn to be okay with that.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, sometimes people really have solid advice on how to move forward in this like ecosystem that we're not familiar with.
Yeah.
In fact, Vicki and I were talking about it on the drive here. We don't want to be the experts right out the gate. We're always looking to talk to people who know more than us.
Right.
If we're the smartest people in the room, we don't want to be in that room.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it looks like you guys use it as a method to validate the idea too, right? To be like, okay, like I know this is going to work and it's going to be right for us to take on. You had mentioned, Vicki, I think we talked about, you had used Western University as like a validate. Tell me a bit about that. What was that like? You used their MBA program, right?
Yeah. So we were fortunate. I have a friend who was doing her MBA at Ivey, and we had gone to dinner and we were talking about, me and Angie are going to start this company, and she's like, oh my God, we actually need a company to do a case study on.
No way.
Like we actually had been talking about maybe a startup being like a good idea for us to do.
Yeah. Like,
would you and Angie be open to it? And I was like, sure. And so she asked her classmates, asked their professor, and yeah, we did it for, I don't know, 3-4 months, maybe around that.
Amazing.
And basically it was like right when we had started. Like we started this in June of last year, and this was, I don't know, a couple months into it, and they kept asking us questions that like you'd think we as the people who started this company would know, like, oh, like what are you gonna do for this? And we'd be like, yeah, we just give us your feedback. What do you think? Right? And so it was very much like cool for them, honestly cool for us, but really cool for them because they got to really like help shape the journey of Petal and ultimately like what we're gonna do with the company. And so it was really interesting to get like their opinion on like financial modeling and like how we should price the product. Like we learned about, they conducted a study with like a bunch of, like they sent it out to all their friends, family, school, we got like 500-600 responses on it. Amazing. Which like we wouldn't have been able to do on our own. Of like, and then we got a lot of information like women don't really necessarily care about the brand of the product, right? Like, so there's no current brand loyalty. Like that was a huge unlock for Angie from a marketing standpoint of like, okay, this doesn't exist, so like now I can use this to our advantage and build off this. So yeah, it was a really awesome experience for us, and we got to meet, like, there were 6 of them, like these 6 really great
cool
people who are around our age. Like, we got to become friends with them and really like integrate them into the early stages of Petal.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think not a lot of startups get that like upfront validation, right? Like, oh, this could work. And not only did you get validation, but you got all this feedback and market data and someone who said, yeah, this could work.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, to the point of having conversations with people, like, I think the more you talk about it, I think a lot of people fear talking about their idea so early on because they haven't validated it. But the thing is, if you don't talk about it, you'll never
validate it.
You'll never validate
You kind of
it.
have to.
You kind of have to. And it's A-okay if it doesn't work and you're like, you catch up with that person a month later and they're like, oh, how did it go? You just say, oh, no, that's not what pivoted, not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I think that is a big fear, like fear of failure.
It's so hard to talk about, you know, like because, and I've experienced this myself, you know, when someone asks you, oh, how's that idea? How's that project? How's that business you were working on? And the response is, it didn't really work out, or, you know, we're changing things up. It's really difficult, but kudos to you guys for being comfortable.
Yeah. If you own it, I think it's really funny. I always put my hand up to fail. Is how I see it.
I love that.
Vicki and I have like lots of funny stories about that, even just like in personal life. We were in Costa Rica.
Oh my God.
We were in Costa Rica.
I can't wait for this.
We were in Costa Rica ziplining recently. And I said with full confidence, I was like, I know how to do this.
They're like, who wants to go first? Classic Angie raises her hand immediately. Oh, have you done this before? She's like, yeah, I go zipline. Like as if she does this on like her day job, right? Yeah. Literally, it's like the smallest one, like the test one, just to get everyone comfortable with it. Like, what does it feel like? Like, this is how you break, whatever. In her defense, she actually has been ziplining before.
Okay, fair enough.
But like, she's by no means a pro. Yeah. And literally, she goes first. I get up to go next, and the guy is like face palming his hand like this, like shaking his head. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? He's like, she acted like she knew what she was doing. She didn't break. She didn't stop. She didn't stick her legs out. She didn't do it. And I'm like, yeah,
makes sense.
That's Angie. You know, just full, so confident.
Could use some work.
You know, but it's good. It forces her. She will always be the first to do something, regardless of whether or not she has done it. Yeah. And I'm not like that, so it forces me to be right there with her, because if she's gonna go, then I'm gonna go next. We're a pair, so like it's helped me. It's forced me to be in uncomfortable situations and learn from it.
It's hilarious because you can already, with that one story, I'm already being like, okay, this is what Vicki focuses on. Yeah. This is what Angie focuses on with the business. No, that's amazing. It's really cool to watch, because Vicki, you and I talked about this earlier. Like, you've gone full-fledged and are doing this full-time now, right? Mm-hmm. And Angie, you're doing it part-time at the moment.
Recently full-time.
No way. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Okay, so I wanted to get into that. First, Vicki, your decision to go full-time into this, and then you to follow. So Vicki, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that I've been really fortunate that I was able to kind of take the leap and step back from like current opportunities, and it was an evolution of basically a year of kind of handing things off and smoothing things over and making sure everything was good to go. But I think that not everyone is fortunate to do that. But if you are in a position where you can kind of take the leap of faith and kind of bet on yourself, like, I truly don't think that you will regret it, even if the opportunity or the company fails, because you will learn so much. Like, I'm like a podcast obsessed person, and I'm also like a business obsessed person. And so like, I love listening to founder stories or just like entrepreneurial like biographies. Like, I'll read them, and the best thing that like I've ever heard is that like entrepreneurship is actually like a journey of learning about yourself, right? Because it truly does teach you who you are as a person, what you're capable of, all of the things. And I think that until you kind of have jumped into the deep end and really like committed to it, you don't actually know what you can do. And I think that it's very easy when you're half in, half out to, if it doesn't work, it's like, well, it wasn't actually like a thing, right? Like, I wasn't fully committed to it, so I don't have to tell anyone, or I don't have to like commit that I failed, because I was like, well, I'm in this and I'm in this, and so this didn't work, then I'm just gonna jump back here, right? And so I think that when you go all in and you really see what you're made of, and it's not really a testament, like, if it fails, it's not totally a reflection of you as a person, right? Like, the company doesn't mean that you as a person failed, but I think that it really shows you what you're capable of. It shows you who you are. It also shows you what you're good at, what you're not good at, and helps you grow.
Yeah, I think that moment of being uncomfortable is so important for any entrepreneur. Like, if you are not uncomfortable in entrepreneurship, you may be doing something wrong, you know, because you really have to get out of your comfort zone to say, all right, it's time for me to try something new. And you're right. You learn so much about yourself.
Yeah.
You aren't the first person that said it. I've heard it so many times, and I completely resonate with that idea myself. But Angie, what about you? You chose to leave full-time work. What's that been like?
It's a little bit of a, relative. I feel relatively privileged to be able to like focus on this full time.
Yeah.
To the point of like learning about yourself. I think this is the best way to do it.
For sure.
And I think another thing, like on the topic of failure, there's a piece of you that should be a little bit forgetful of that,
Yeah.
I think the faster you can like bounce back or like let it roll off, and really just like learn to trust yourself, and know that failure doesn't define you. It actually just like helps you move forward.
For sure.
I think that's like the most important thing in this journey.
Yeah.
Outside of like doing something you're passionate about.
For sure.
And having like, something to focus on. But yeah, I'm definitely very lucky to be able to focus on this full time.
Nice.
And take that leap of faith.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The full-time journey looks like it starts, soon now, recently, which is great. I know it's been a year in fruition and in time. Tell me about the accelerator process, what that was like, how much that's helped you, if it has.
Yeah. I think that, there's nothing more important in entrepreneurship than community. And I mean, I'm lucky that I have Angie. Like, I'm lucky that now my family is involved. And so I think that like having people who understand the day in and the day out is really important. And I think that for a lot of people, like the people that we met a lot of entrepreneurs through a variety of accelerators that we participated in that are solo founders. And I think that like that sense of community is so important, because when the day is not good, when you feel like everything's going wrong, when you're like crying on the bathroom floor, like being able to have a person in that with you, like being able to have Angie in that with me, and she knows exactly what we're going through, like we're in this together. And so I think that the accelerators have been really great at providing that sense of community and like, hey, we're all in this together. We're all sort of at the same spot, right? We were all sort of relatively new in this, like no one's, up here kind of thing. And so I think that like knowing that you're not alone and knowing that this is a journey that is like for the long term, and it's not necessarily not a sprint, it's a mile, whatever it is, that saying is, right? That like it's very important to have sort of people that you can bounce ideas off of. And I think that the accelerators, like we participated in Tree Frog, we participated in one that was with Y-Space, and so I think that all of them that we've participated in have been really great at trying to establish that and make people feel like they're not alone in the journey and that they have this sense of community around them.
Yeah, I love that, because I think you really do need it as an entrepreneur. I want to pinpoint on one thing you said, that the community aspect of going through the challenges of entrepreneurship is really important. Tell me about like a moment where you really needed that community because you were going through something with Petal or with founding the business. Like, I know it's only been a year, but there must have been a couple rough nights for sure.
Yeah, I think that we're maybe still going through one right now, but I think we're struggling right now with the R&D and the research and development, and Angie's more involved in that than I am, and she has a greater appreciation for the science behind it. We both took science in school, but Angie has made a career within the field of science, and so she's much more familiar with that. But I'm very much like okay, we had this idea yesterday, like I want the product today, right? And she's like, so this is science. This is like years in the making. And I'm like, why? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to put it on the shelf, right? And so I think right now we're currently struggling with the R&D from both making the prototype and actually having something that we're happy with in terms of user experience and all of those things, and then also because we're not doing the science ourselves, our research team, and having no one's going to be as passionate and as in the business as you. And so I think like having a team that's moving at a pace that you're happy with is always going to be a struggle.
Yeah, for sure. This is a tough question, but how do you think you'll get out of kind of this funk?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to touch also on the community piece. To that end of like all these frustrations we've been facing, it's been really great. We've honestly so many mentors, so many people willing to put their hand up and give us their perspective. And I think we actually had a conversation quite recently where our mentor was kind of like, wow, you must be angry. And we were like, yeah, like, thank you for seeing that. And honestly, even that, just like having someone see your situation and kind of mirror back, like, that sucks, is very helpful to the point of community.
Right.
I mean, there's many paths we can take. We might find a new research team.
Sure,
like, at the end of the day, business is business, right?
That's right.
There's always going to be room to like figure out the next step. Vicki and I were, again, just talking about this. There's no problem that isn't figure outable.
Absolutely.
Every problem can be fixed.
Absolutely.
How you approach the problem, if you make it seem like an opportunity and it's exciting to try and figure something out, any problem can be solved.
Absolutely.
And so I have no doubt that we'll find the next step. The timing thing is a little bit of a question mark. I think that always comes into play, but we always figure it out. There's always going to be a time where we say, oh yeah, we had that problem and we maybe took this path and then it led to a new problem and now we need to figure that out as well. But yeah, I think there's many things that we're going to try and do, but the timing is definitely a question mark.
For sure. Yeah. And that's the cycle of entrepreneurship,
100%.
right? Like, it is not a hockey stick. Mm-hmm. It is a roller coaster, and that's just it's just expected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, if you were to tell yourselves, I don't know, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, knowing that you're going to start this and you're now a year in and you've gone through a few accelerators, what would you tell the both of yourselves maybe a year or 2 years ago?
Triple the time, double the money, or maybe longer, maybe more than that.
I think there's something like I say this to Angie all the time. Like, I think there's something so great about being naive. Yeah. Because if you knew all I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on it, but if you knew all the shit that you were going to go through, like, you would not do it, right? That's the bottom. Like, if I knew all of the shit that we were going to go through with my other company, we wouldn't have started it, right? Like, all of the long nights. I think, like, my brother now has, like, half of his head is gray hair, like, all, all the things, right? Like, you wouldn't do it. And so I think, like, I said this to Angie when we started Petal. I was like, oh, you're so naive and you're so fresh and you're so excited, and just hang on to that, right? Because like this is going to be, to your point, it's going to be a roller coaster. But I think going back and telling ourselves that, like, to Angie's point, everything is figure outable. Like, I wouldn't want to tell myself all the crap that we were going to go through, because I don't know then if we would do it, right? I think like you take the punches as they come, and you roll with it and you figure it out as you go. And if you have a co-founder that's in it with you and you guys are in it together, it just makes it that much easier. But I think like having that sense of naiveness honestly is like so important to an entrepreneur, because I really think that being naive to what's coming down the pipeline is what keeps you going and ultimately what makes you successful.
Yeah, for sure. What about you? What would you tell yourself, or the two of you?
No, truly the time and money. Yeah. I really think so. And I mean, Vicki's right. I do come from a place of, I don't even know what's behind the next door. Yeah. And I actually do see that as an advantage. Absolutely. And I think the thing, I mean, I already live this way, but maybe a reminder to just always stay curious. I think that makes you interesting and keeps you interested. I think both of those are super important, especially in the world of entrepreneurship. And absolutely, Vicki and I are really lucky. I think like we love talking to people. Yeah. And to my point earlier about like getting on the 100 phone calls, that we wouldn't have even found a research team, or we wouldn't have found, we found a loophole to actually get some funding to help propel that project forward. So it even de-risked things for us. For sure. So figuring that out, I think, is really important. Yeah. I got a couple more questions for the both of you. Yeah. And more so from the perspective of someone thinking about starting something, right? What are the tools or resources that were like, damn, we really needed this, or we really use this to the fullest, that a new entrepreneur should think about or consider? If you're just starting out and you have your idea, like you
you don't know where to go, but you're like, I want to make this.
Yeah.
I would say doing some research online in terms of like, if whether that's a podcast or whatever it is of that industry. So like, let's say, for example, the world of CPG, or maybe you want to start like a food and bev company, like listening to a podcast where someone has already done that and this is now, and then sort of mapping out their journey. So it's like, okay, because I'm from this world, like, okay, we need brokers, we need distributors. Okay, what retailers are we going to, and are we going to do e-com? Like those things, like having sort of a plan. And then to Angie's point, like once you've sort of mapped out these pillars, it's like, okay, who can I Google to then talk to? Like if you're making a product that requires manufacturing, which if you're making a product, it requires manufacturing, like speaking to a manufacturer, even if literally you started the company yesterday and you're not going to be manufacturing this for 5 years, speaking to a manufacturer to understand what from their perspective they're going to need is really important and will shape how you make that product, right? Like, okay, so we have a certain MOQ, or this is going to be custom, or you're going to need this, you're going to need that, when like you haven't even done anything yet. So you can keep those things in the back of your mind when you are doing R&D and product development, will like save you so much time. Because if you put a year into that product development, you make your prototype, then you knock on the door of the manufacturer and they're like, yeah, so we can't make that because of this, 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 and this. You're going to have to change all these things. You're like, well, shit, I just spent a year making this. If I had known that, I would have changed it and I wouldn't have done all those things.
Dude, it sounds like this 100 call that you guys did was an unreal process, like very, very helpful. And I'm glad you're pinpointing it, because I don't think a lot of people do that.
And we like ran the gamut. Like we were talking to lawyers, like patent lawyers. We were trying to figure out information on how that works. Then we were talking to people in regulatory. Then we were talking to accelerators. Then we were talking to people, manufacturers. And we just wanted to understand the space. And that was our main goal. And I mean, for a time, Vicki and I also had income, right? And so the other piece of advice I think I'd give, take some time and figure out your comfortability level with risk, and understand, like maybe have a plan, understand like how far can I get before I start feeling uncomfortable? Like what, and then dip your toe. It's like, how uncomfortable am I willing to get? And I will say, like, as someone who has a pocket full of ideas, they don't all work. They don't. You're not just going to have an idea strike and that be like, okay, this is my ticket out of my current 9 to 5. So it's like having a little bit of calculated risk is really important, I'd say. And then in terms of resources, like the 100 phone calls, I'm serious. I stand by that one.
I love it.
I think talking to as many people as you can, finding out people's perspective and what they've gone through, it's so
and even people who have nothing to do, like we got a lot of validation from women. Obviously it's a product for women, and so we got so much validation from women. Like Angie was like, oh my god, this is amazing, all these people love our idea, like they love our product. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's great. And then we pitched it to a panel of angel investors of all men, and they had all of these questions. And I was like, one of the people who put on the event like apologized to Angie after that, like it was a panel of all men. And I was like, sure, fair point, like there should be some diversity, but also that was great because we hadn't pitched the idea to men, right? And so now you have this perspective. Like unfortunately the world of VC is still primarily male dominated, right? And so these are the people who are going to be pitching the product to. And so if these 4 men have these questions, there's the 200 men that we're going to pitch to are going to have the same questions, right? And so getting a perspective from all of these men on something that they don't really know about, but ultimately are going to be the ones signing the check, was really important to us, so we could change our pitch, change what we share, find out what's important to them, right? Like, okay, what's going to really make it click for the men so that they're going to sign the check, right, and provide the money, and what's really going to help them understand the concept, was something that was like super valid. So I think don't just get validation from people who are going to be your consumer. Like, while yes, obviously you want that because those are the people that are going to be buying the product, I think getting validation or getting input and feedback from an entirely different demographic, so you can see the holes of where you need to fix and what maybe you already, like, for example, in our pitch, we had the questions and we were like, oh yeah, like we have an answer to that, but we didn't even talk about it. So it's like, okay, well, let's incorporate that, right? It wasn't necessarily like these revolutionary questions of like, oh my God, we never thought of that, or oh my God, we don't know that. It was more like, how do we change what we're saying, or how do we tweak our wording so that we're answering these questions and providing these people the information that they need, that ultimately are going to make them more comfortable to then invest in the company.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's so important. And I'm going to plug this again, 100 calls.
Yeah.
Just do the 100 calls. I think I'm going to take that advice on myself. And I'm going to be following along to see how things go and very excited for it. My wife as well, by the way, because I told her I was doing the podcast and she was so excited to follow along and see where you guys end up. But where do you guys think you're going to end up? So this is my last question to you both. What does a year look like? What does 5 years look like? And answer from the perspective of look back on this podcast and laugh as to what your answer may have been, or be proud of it.
Well, in a year, hopefully we have a product by then, I think is our next big milestone.
As in the prototype ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
In 5 years, we'll have hopefully launched at that point, been making our first sale. Maybe it's your wife.
Yeah, maybe.
Buy local. And I think that will be, I'm hoping, our biggest milestone.
Yeah. Amazing.
Wow, I had like way bigger dreams.
Oh no!
You're like one sale. I'm like, let's like nationwide.
Nationwide, yeah. Actually, good point. 5 years, we'll do it.
It's doable.
Yeah, I think that we really want to be a brand for women, by women, before women, and I think we really want to be like an agnostic brand and provide women like a safe space, whether that's I mean, I don't think in 5 years we're going to have multiple products by any means, but I think that, we really want to create a brand for women that lets women feel like they're being heard and being seen. And so that's my dream for the brand. I mean, ultimately, I'd love to have it in every store across Canada, across the US, across the world. But I think, like having the prototype in a year, and then in 5 years, getting the product, having the product on some shelves, and really having women, like the best experience is having someone, whether they write in or they see you in person, like share their experience of your product with you. And like, I'll never forget the first time that like we had this lady, like we sell our product, my food company's product in Costco, and we like Lauren and I went to a store. We were there. It was this new opening in the state of Georgia, and we had this, like we were standing in front of it, like taking photos, like looking at the product, and this lady came and was like buying a bag, and she's like, oh, like, I love the product. And I was like, oh, like it's actually our company. And she like literally like broke down in the middle of a Costco aisle and started telling us how like she was on this weight loss journey, and like the product changed her life. Like we took a selfie with it. Like I felt like a celebrity.
Way.
Like, but it was just like this like magical moment of like, you put all of your time, blood, sweat, and energy into making this product. And I think that like knowing that somebody resonates with it, like having someone say that like our product changed their journey of fertility or pregnancy or whatever it is, like it makes all the crap worth it, right? Like it's, to your point, like the journey, the naiveness, like all of the roller coasters, like to feel like what you envisioned for that product and for the brand, for the consumer, to have that reciprocated back to you, like the best feeling in the world. So I hope that in 5 years we have one of those.
That.
Yeah, or a lot
of that.
I'm going to share one story with you guys that I was debating whether to share or not.
Always share.
But we're going to share it. Let's see if we edit it out. So over the past 6, maybe 8 months, my wife and I have been trying. And there was a few times when we had people visiting, my parents included. And I was very, very nervous because, I mean, our house is a decent size, but it's easy to like find trash, and you know, it's hard, right? So there was a couple occasions when I didn't want anyone to know, and it's the timing of us being connected, and our first call was hilarious. Yeah, I'm like, this is so funny. And I didn't share it at the time, but like a week before we chatted, we found out that we were expecting.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Congratulations!
Thank you. I appreciate it. But it was so fresh and so new, and thankfully it worked. Thankfully it was like the result that we wanted.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh damn! If the result was not what we wanted, and my parents are visiting because they were there, this would have been so awkward.
Yeah.
And it would have been really weird.
Yeah.
So I share that story because I think it's there are other people that go through that. And I'm saying that as someone like a father who, hopefully father, going through that experience. So you guys are on the right path, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. And
of course.
We do love hearing stories like that. Like we've been at pitch competitions where other men have come up to us saying, my wife is going through something like this. And every time she takes a test and it's negative, it's just staring her back in the face. Yeah. It's not great.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not great.
Especially if you're trying.
Yeah. And thankfully, like it all worked out, and a lot of people try for a lot longer, and it's
for sure.
It's that in itself is I think enough of a directionally right path for the both of you that this is the right product.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you for validating.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on Behind the Business. It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
we will definitely be following along. And I hope to see you guys maybe on another episode in a couple seasons to see how you're doing.
Totally. We'd love to come back.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Thank you so much.
Of course. To everyone watching, thank you so much for following Behind the Business. My name is Fahim Sabja.
Angie Ibrahim.
Vicki Schenkel.
And we'll see you on the next episode of Behind the Business. Thanks for tuning in on this episode of Behind the Business. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, share it with someone who's on their own entrepreneurial journey or thinking about starting one. Also, follow, subscribe, and leave a review whenever you listen. Lastly, keep up with us on Instagram at BehindTheBiz_POD. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and keep listening. This is Fahim Sabja signing off from Behind the Business.